Welcome to Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at today's headlines. Federal government to boost foreign reserves based with locally sourced gold. Governor Moino moves to launch tree crop revolution, repositions Academic. Plus, Trump says Modi agrees to stop buying Russian oil. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in just a moment. Many thanks for joining us. Our first report this morning is that the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, has reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to strengthening Nigeria's foreign reserves through an innovative gold acquisition program that eliminates the need for dollar sourcing. Alake, who stated this at the ongoing 10th edition of the Nigerian Mining Week in Abuja, noted that the program, which is driven by the Solid Minerals Development Fund, SMDF, is designed to use gold locally mined to boost the country's foreign reserves. Alake further stated that the program, which began in August, will help to grossly reduce the pressure on the naira and increasing demand for foreign currency. He emphasized that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is committed and determined to pursue the gold initiative with vigor and assiduity. He also stressed that it is one of the most effective strategies available to enhance Nigeria's economic stability. Let's move now to the Red Chambers, where the Senate has passed for second reading a bill that seeks to create a legal framework enabling small and medium-sized enterprises, MSEs, to access quicker financing by converting unpaid invoices into immediate cash. The proposed legislation, titled Factoring Regulation Bill 2024, was sponsored by Asukwo Ekpenyong, who said it is designed to tackle delayed payment, one of the most persistent challenges confronting macro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs. Ekpenyong explained that many MSMEs deliver goods or services and wait up to 90 days before receiving payment, leaving them unable to pay workers, replenish inventory or expand operations. He noted that the cycle of weak cash flow not only traps small businesses but also slows down the economic's growth. The lawmaker described the bill as a major structural reform that would unlock working capital for over 40 million small businesses that form the backbone of Nigeria's economy. The senator further said that the bill provides a comprehensive regulatory structure under the Security and Exchange Commission, ensuring that only licensed entities can engage in factoring while also mandating full disclosure of costs and fees. In the meantime, the Senate will today screen Professor Jose Amiputang for the position of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. The announcement was contained in a circular issued by the Director of Information for the Senate, Bula B. Ala, and made available to journalists in Abuja. The development comes hours after President Bola Tinubu's letter seeking a speedy confirmation of Amiputang was read on the Senate floor by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. Amiputang nomination, which followed last week's endorsement by the National Council of State, marks a significant transition from the electoral body following the exit of Professor Mahmood Yakubu after a decade at the helm of Inec. To the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has taken preliminary steps to phase out the use of highly hazardous pesticides, HHPS, in the country, citing risks to public health, environmental safety and food security. At the plenary session, the lawmakers adopted a motion titled Stop It and Mitigation of Risks Associated with the Use of Hazardous Pesticides Across Nigeria, sponsored by Clement Jimbo. Speaking about the substance of the motion, Jimbo expressed concerns over the widespread circulation and use of HHPS, noting that while pesticides are essential for protecting crops against pests and diseases, many of those in use pose a grave threat to human health, biodiversity, and the environment. The House, after adopting the motion, directed the Federal Ministries of Agriculture and Food Security, Health and Social Development and Environment, along with relevant non-governmental organizations, to immediately conduct a nationwide inventory and review of all highly hazardous pesticides in circulation. It also urged NAFDAC to strengthen its regulatory framework for pesticide importations, distribution and use, particularly concerning HHPS, and to maintain an up-to-date list of banned substances. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission will deploy more than 7,000 bimodal voter accreditation system devices for the upcoming Anambra State governorship election, scheduled to take place on November 8, 2025. The Commission said a little above 7,000 Bvas will be deployed across the 5,720 polling units in the state. Reports say a mock accreditation exercise is scheduled to take place on October 25, 2025, ahead of the governorship poll. The trial will test the functionality of the Bvas devices and a real-time upload of results to the Inec result viewing portal. Back here, poised to launch the tree crop revolution in November 2025, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has directed that Akwa Ibom State Agricultural Development Program, which was formerly an agency under the supervision of the Ministry of Agriculture, now becomes a standalone agency under the supervision of the Office of the Secretary to the state government. He has also directed the immediate overhaul and remodeling of infrastructure in the premises. The governor made this known while conducting an unscheduled inspection of the facilities at the Academic premises in Uyo. Meanwhile, the tree crop revolution was recently announced by the governor. The program, which is to be managed by the Akwa Ibom State Agriculture and Food Security Committee, is headed by Professor Okon Ansa, a former Commissioner of Agriculture in the state, while other members including Professor Trenchet Ibia, also a former Commissioner for Agriculture in the state. The Tree Club Revolution is aimed at expanding palm oil production with high-yielding varieties and in the process help create generational wealth for the people of Akwa Ibom State, especially those in rural communities, and ultimately return Akwa Ibom as a premier palm oil producing state in the nation. The committee will now operate from the premises of Academic and will work closely with the Office of the Secretary to the state government to ensure the successful launch of the program in November across all 10 federal constituencies. Government House correspondent Jane Owa reports that Academic is expected to attach at least 2 extensions workers to each of the farms in the 10 federal constituencies. In the meantime, Determined to prime Akwa Ibom State as a tourism hub of the nation and expand the income generation base, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino says he is not relenting in ensuring the utilization of all tourism assets in the state. The latest addition is the Rice City Shopping Center, which is expected to attract shoppers and tourists around the world and other lovers of international name brands who will be visiting the facilities within the Tropicana complex. Governor Moino, who undertook a tour of the project site, said the International Convention Center, a 200-bed hotel and other facilities that will attract people on the way, there was a need for a shopping city that will host international brands. He used the opportunity to advise youth to ensure violence and other vices capable of breaching the peace of the state. Let's move now to Africa, where the African Union has announced that it had suspended Madagascar from its bodies with immediate effect until constitutional order is restored after a coup that ousted President Andry Rajoelina. The group previously suspended several of the member states after military coups, including Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea. The uprising resulted in a military-backed coup that brought Rajoelina to power as the transitional leader of the Indian Pacific Ocean at the age of 34. Reports say the same military unit that aided Rajoelina's rise on Tuesday declared it was taking power in Madagascar and ousting him as president following weeks of youth-led protests. The country's military rulers said in a statement that another military leader will be sworn in as president of Madagascar during a solemn hearing of the High Constitutional Court on October the 17th. Still on our foreign news, President Donald Trump has said that Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has agreed to stop buying Russian oil as the U.S. seeks to put economic pressure on Kremlin as part of efforts to end the war in Ukraine. Trump told reporters he had received assurance from Modi. The spokesman said discussions were ongoing with the U.S. administration, which had shown interest in deepening energy cooperation with India. Still on the foreign scene, Hamas has said that it has handed over more bodies to the Red Cross, stating that it cannot assess the rest of the dead hostages. The group further noted that specialist equipment will be needed to find and retrieve the others. This comes after tensions following Israel's confirmation that the body returned was not one of the missing hostages. According to reports, Hamas is required to return all 48 remaining hostages as part of the first phase of the Gaza peace plan. Still to come in the news. India wins race to host 2030 Commonwealth Games, beats Nigeria's bid. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. This is Spectrum News at 10. On our business news, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has called on the federal government to prioritize fiscal policies that strengthen public finance management and capital expenditure on infrastructure and education in order to consolidate the country's macroeconomic gains. On the back of the higher growth projection for the country, IMF said Nigeria must muster further political will to implement additional fiscal policies that reinforce emerging gains and reduce vulnerability to domestic and external shocks. The IMF said the IMF had raised Nigeria's growth forecast to 3.9% in 2025 and 4.1% in 2026, citing improvement in the country's macroeconomic outlook. Speaking during the fiscal monitor session at the ongoing World Bank and IMF annual meeting in Washington, D.C., Division Chief, Fiscal Affairs Department, IMF, Davide Fosiri said that Nigeria's ongoing fiscal and structural reforms were neutral and well aligned with monetary policies designed to curb inflation and stabilize the economy. Still in business, Nigeria's inflation rate recorded its biggest drop in recent period to 18.2% in September, as above average decline in prices of basic food items. This is a stable currency and improved cost of logistics sustained movement in the average cost of living. The National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) revealed this in its latest Consumer Price Index. According to their report, it showed that headline inflation rate dropped by 210 basis points from 20.12% in August 2025 to 18.2% in September 2025. It was the sixth consecutive time since April 2025. The decline in headline inflation rate was driven by broad improvement in prices, especially with substantial drop in prices of food items. In health, the World Health Organization (WHO) has announced the appointment of Dr. Pavel Ursu as a new WHO representative to Nigeria. This follows a formal presentation of Ursu's credentials to the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Abuja. The UN body made the announcement in a press statement. Ursu succeeds Dr. Kazidi Mulumbo, who now serves as the Director, Office of the Regional Director, WHO African Region, and Acting WHO Representative to Guinea-Bissau. In his remarks, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, noted that the country is determined not to relieve the vulnerability exposed during the COVID-19 pandemic and is therefore committed to strengthening local manufacturing of health products. Let's move now to sports, where Ahmedabad, India, has been recommended as a host city for the 2030 Commonwealth Games. According to report, Commonwealth Sport announced that the Indian city has been chosen ahead of a rival bid from Abuja in Nigeria to host the event, which will be the Commonwealth Games centenary. The decision to hold the Games there in 5 years is now expected to be ratified at the organization's General Assembly in Glasgow on November the 26th. Still in sport, Morocco reached the Under-20 World Cup final for the first time in history after a tense 1-1 draw with France, winning 5-4 on penalties in the semi-final. The Atlas Cups took the lead in the 31st minute, following a VAR review. The referee awarded the penalty after the review. The Moroccan midfielder was solid and well organized, cutting off France's supply to their forwards. On our entertainment news, Nigerian singer and actor Idowu Adeyemi has taken to social media to express his frustration with the growing trend of begging. In a recent social media post, Adeyemi noted that social media has become a breeding ground for individuals seeking financial assistance. According to the actor, the issues lies with those who have mastered the art of begging, often soliciting money from people they barely know, noting that the only distinction between beggars online and those on street is access to internet data. And that's all we have for you at this time. To ensure to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website at spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching.